Ramos says this ruin was a bar called the Rooster. It's where Los Munequitos formed one night in 1952, when a group of dock workers decided they too could be rumberos, even though they were amateurs.
Vamos? Gracias.
Cha-Cha Bacalao is one of the last living founders. When you first played, did you play for fun? Did you play for money?
In the beginning, we did it for fun. It was a pleasure to get together and play because we were born rumberos. We made rumba since we were kids. So we went to this party, the rum appeared, and a case of beer, and we began playing.
This is the music of humble people who don't have much. They didn't have theaters to perform in. They didn't really control dance halls. But when it came time to party, you party right there in the solar.
Record producer Ned Sublett heard Los Munequitos 8 years ago while in Cuba. Since then, he's helped produce 6 CDs for the group.
Pop on the Munequitos cut. Pop on cut H.
Sublett wants the world to know that the cocktail dance craze of the 30s, spelled R-H-U-M-B-A, bears no resemblance to the authentic form, spelled R-U-M-B-A. Real rumba is a mix of African drumming and flamenco rhythms, with lyrics sung in both Spanish and African languages.
You get a real uncut flavor, just the flavor of what Cuba is and how it's always been in Cuba. It's both contemporary, but it carries the memory of all the way back. As long as there have been black people in Cuba, you can hear echoes of that.
Rumba is firmly rooted in the history of Matanzas. 200 years ago, this city was a major port in the African slave trade. Their descendants are still here and carrying on the African traditions through religion and music. You see, slaves in Cuba, unlike those in the United States, were allowed to keep their drums. Using the heel of his hand, sometimes the palm, or maybe the fingertips, drummer and musical director Jesus Alfonso adds complex rhythms to the rumba mix.
Percussion is one of the elements of our folklore. It's a combination of dance, song, and percussion. It's that whole mix that makes a rumba.
And so does family, at least for Los Munequitos, who owe their survival to keeping the group a family affair. You see, you don't join Los Munequitos, you were born into it. Ivan is a drummer, like his father Jesus. Several generations of the Perez family sing. The Estado Ramos' son, Barbaro, is a dancer, as is his daughter, Vivian, and his 10-year-old grandson, Luis, making him the youngest Munequito.
There are times when we perform that we have to stop for some people that have gone into a trance. And for example, my son has cut himself with a machete during dance and not even knowing it. Because you play with your heart. You get your heart into it.
Religion plays as important a role as music in the lives of Los Munequitos. In fact, Ramos is not only their director, he is a babalao, a priest in the Santeria religion. So far, the performances of Los Munequitos have remained pure, due in part to the relative isolation of Cuba and Matanzas. However, that's beginning to change. The group has toured Europe and the United States 4 times and will return this summer. This performance in New York City in 1998 was part of a cultural and educational exchange program, which is the only way a Cuban group can play in the States. And as long as they don't make a profit.
If I give a Cuban musician $100, put it in the man's hand and say, play a track for me, that's not kosher under U.S. law.
It's actually a felony under the current United States embargo and Treasury Department guidelines. However, with European countries willing to foot the bill for recording and distribution, music from Los Munequitos has crossed the border.
We, for too long, failed to pay attention to the people of Cuba because we've been so focused on their government. And music is the most wonderful, wonderful vehicle for facilitating human-to-human contact.
Like many things, everything in life evolves, and we will have new things to sing. But I would like to maintain the quality the group has now, and the sound it originally had.
Much has changed in the 47 years Los Munequitos have been together, but the rumba has remained constant, and always will, as long as what happens on stage is the same as what happens in living rooms after family parties. And of course, as long as there is a new generation ready to rumba.